Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first session of the Gold Membership, where we will be teaching Blender, among other software like ZBrush and Substance Painter. We are truly excited to be here with you. We'd like to thank you for trusting Libel Studio, and we would like to invite you to follow our school and our academy and the different courses we're offering. Okay? So for those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Ricardo Diaz. I am the instructor for, I think someone is saying that you can hear double. Okay, let's take care of that. Right? Yeah, I'm not able to listen to it right now. Just give me a second while we fix it. Alrighty, we're almost there. I would like to share my portfolio for those people who would like to follow. You can follow me here. Here are some of the works that I've done with Blender using ZBrush and Substance Painter. You can follow me here and ArtStation right here. And also those who want to, let's see here, want to follow me in my YouTube channel. Can follow me here as well as Ricardo Roy, so that you can also subscribe to my channel where I also share things, and you can follow some of the tutorials there as well. Okay, so let's get started. Here we're going to, before we start, I always like to give some instruction on how we're going to use Discord. In this moment, let me show it to you here so that you can take a look and understand the process, and that there is no issues as we go further when it comes to the information that you're going to share and receive as well. That way, you know, everything is done properly. In this part that reads here, I'm gonna write it down so they could see it. I'm going to explain it to you properly, and then we'll go on to the interface, Blender interface, and so on, and the programs that I use. So let's talk about general. In the general tab, it's for the students, and you can put whatever type of information. You can chat here. You can organize any type of groups. I've seen some groups that some students get together to work together as a subgroup, and you have to put everything in here in this Discord page, this tab. Don't put it in the other tabs, in the other folders, because maybe I'll miss the information that you're trying to share with me. So in case you have some issues, then I won't be able to see it. So we need to put it on the general tab in Discord. In general, you can upload videos, whatever you think might be useful for the course or activities for your classmates. You can talk here. You can talk about new versions of softwares like Blender or Substance Painter or ZBrush and whatnot. This is the area where you will find references. So you're not going to write here or upload anything here. Sometimes here, so let's say, what is this useful for? Some students start writing here, and what happens is this area starts getting filled with things that have nothing to do with reference images. Obviously, right now we have nothing, only the images that I've uploaded, but this starts happening as we go, and we need to be careful not to let that happen in order to avoid wasting time. You don't have to put anything in the reference images area. If I find another reference image, I can upload it here and I will share it with you guys. Okay? All right, so that you have access for it, so that you can see it and use it. So let's make that clear. We'll put it here. That way everybody just comes here and finds reference images only. Thanks, Andres. So here we go. Let's go to the advances part or updates part. This is very important that you always do the same thing. Here in advances or updates, we would like you to update and upload anything that you are doing in terms of the course. Today we'll have an introduction or an induction, and we're going to work with 4 classes in order to make an introduction to the program. For those of you who probably don't have a lot of knowledge about Blender, and that's what we're going to do. And we'd like to share with you about the Samurai Cat, and I'm going to share a little bit of it with you guys. Let's take a look here. This is how we started. We started the project with this sculpt. We uploaded images only related to that course, that part of the course. So let's try to upload images here that only have to do with the course, the things that you guys have been doing, so I can give you feedback. So it is important that you know how to use each channel here in Discord, this section for this one for that, so that we stay specific in each part. So here in updates or advances, you take the class and you start uploading images of your progress, whatever you get done that day. Excuse me. So are we ready? All right. The next one obviously is regarding the live class sessions, because a lot of people ask, when is the link going to be shared so we can look at the recorded class and whatnot? The link is always going to be here, and it is going to be the same link every class session, so that you can come into the class, so that you're not searching for anything else elsewhere, but you find it right here. So here you will find the guidelines for the course. You can follow these. You have to read these and make sure you follow and understand them, so that way you don't get lost, so that you accomplish great success in the class. And those of you who are interested in getting that scholarship for the Master in Blender, okay? So someone is asking, are these advances or updates that we need to upload about the kid and the robot, or other courses? So I don't know if those of you who have the gold membership only, because we're just going to do the introduction. As I said, we're going to make a small, quick character, and also regarding the course, the character we're going to be creating, the kid, and also the robot. I won't be able to give feedback on other things here, but the kid and the robot. But we'll be working as we go. All right. And we'll talk about only these 2 characters regarding this project. All right. Here we can find the part. Let's see here. This is the part where you ask the teacher. Someone is asking, we're starting with the robot or the kid? We're going to start with the kid, okay? So the course lasts 4 months. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to put together the kid in 2 months and the robot in 2 months. We know that the kid is going to be a little more difficult to put together and create than the robot. Maybe it'll take 2.5 months. We'll see as we go, as we advance in the course. So you have to continue to advance with me, because there's 2 characters in those 4 months. And I'm getting some notes here from the Academy. The channel for gold membership is only for the gold membership activities, only for that. So in this part here, questions for the teacher, the same things apply, the same guidelines apply. Only questions about the course, specific to the course, only about what we're working today, okay? Let's not start making a chat about things. Let's keep it focused on the doubts and the questions that you have, and so we don't get lost in other conversations, okay? So here, let's not write anything that's not related to a question to the teacher regarding the course, or an answer, or maybe a contribution to it. So let's avoid writing anything here that has nothing to do with the course. It's very, very important, so that we stay focused. In general, in the general tab, you can put whatever you like. Any questions, anything you want to share, it's a free for all there. So let's avoid putting those kind of things in here, in this area, so that we can go and move forward as best we can. Let's be organized here so that we don't have any issues ahead. Sometimes people ask each other for information here, and sometimes I give a feedback, and then they start writing and writing and writing, and things get lost. In the calendar area, well, you already know, you'll find the schedules. You have the established schedule for each class and session. Today we started at 9. All right. Well, Henry asks if the characters are going to be rigged. They're going to be posed, but they won't be rigged. Maybe for the character, the boy, we will use the Rigify add-ons, but we won't be rigging it. We're not going to rig it. We will post it, but we won't rig it. That would take a really long time, and it's not the focus of the course. It will get very complex. All right. Someone is asking if these characters will be optimized for animation. Yes, they will be. So don't forget, my friends, today we started at 9 p.m. We've been already 15 minutes in the class. But the next session, the next Wednesday, we will start at 8:30 p.m. Why? Because from 8:30 to 9 p.m., we will be giving feedback on your work. All right? Feedback on whatever you're doing, your advances, your updates. I'm very clear when we start these courses. I always tell the students to go forward as we start sending out the videos. Okay? Because it's very complex after you're moving forward 2 or 3 classes ahead, and some students are still working on the first or second videos. So I would like to encourage you, and I say with every course, and this one as well, that we should be up to date, keeping track and keeping up with every video that's been sent out, so that you don't get left behind. You have from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday where the new video is going to be sent out so that you can catch up or work on the video and finish up to that part. You don't have to submit your updates the next day. You have about 3 to 4 days. And Saturday, Sunday, and Monday until Wednesday, you have time to advance in the courses as the other video is getting ready to be shared with you guys. So let's be clear about that, because it gets really complex and difficult when I give feedback from 2 lessons behind, because I am slowing down everyone that's moving forward at a normal pace. And obviously, those of you who are who signed up for this courses, you have to have the motivation. You want to advance, you want to move forward, and they want to finish the course in the best way possible. So you have to organize your schedule. You know, I tell my students, I always recommend that they put away and set away time exclusively to work on their projects and the learning experiences. Because that's what we're supposed to do. You have to finish by those 4 months. You come out with those 2 characters that look awesome and are ready to be shown in your portfolio. Imagine that, you know, if we finish the 4 months and a student is still behind in the first character, then we can't give feedback and help the people who stay behind. And then you lose discipline. And so you need to keep track, set up the time, put aside time exclusively to work on your project. All of us work. I have a job that's 12 hours a day and I do my work. I have a family, but we all set up the time and separate time for this. So we all need to be diligent and disciplined in order to fulfill our dream. This is about your dreams, to make it come true. So let's not delay ourselves. Let's not stay behind. You could get sick, or you can have a situation in your family or your job. Yeah, you can try to catch up so that there will be no issues. So try to stay up to speed. All right. So someone is asking, how many hours, how much time do you need to put aside for the lessons? Sometimes we're going to send you a video that's 2 hours. So for those videos, we would like to recommend that you spend at least 1 hour daily so that you can get up to speed in that course. All right. Put a schedule where you discipline yourself and you accomplish that objective. Because if you don't have a schedule, I always tell you about my students that it happened to me too. I was also a student and I also delay things for the last minute. And at the end, I wouldn't advance. I'm going to give you an example here. Let's say you have a video that's 2 hours long. I do it in 2 hours. I go through the video to show you in 2 hours, right? But it could take you to do the same thing that I did in 2 hours, 4 hours. And it's okay if that happens. So if it's going to take you 4 hours to do what I did in 2 hours, then you have to dedicate 1 hour, 1 hour and a half a day. All right? In order to accomplish the goal. Every day, 1 hour and a half in order to be able to advance, and because there will be a feedback session. I'm going to stop by and see the model that you created. Maybe you advanced on it, and I'm going to be able to give you feedback at what you need to work on, what you did great, but what you need to work on, what you need to change in the character. Sometimes I tell you, my friends, my dear students, I'd like to be very upfront, very forward. I don't like to tell people that everything is okay when it's not. Sadly, I'm that way. I like to tell things clear. If something is not good or doesn't look good, I will tell you. I will say, hey, you can improve here. Maybe you did a character and one ear is bigger than the other one. I will tell you, I will let you know this is not well. You need to fix it. I'm not going to lie and say everything is great. It looks excellent. No, because I can't do that, because down the road in your professional life, in real life, they are going to have expectations from you that whatever you do, whatever they ask you to do, you're going to have to do it with the greatest quality possible. So I am going to be that guide. I'm going to give you guidance as if you worked in a company and you give me your product, your work, and I'm going to give you advice on how to make it better with the goal that you at the end of the project have a great final result. All right? It is all about you guys reaching a great quality work as your goal. It's not just about finishing the character. It's about also you learning the process and that you can be dedicated and disciplined in everything that is related to the project. Okay? So once we have accomplished that you have become disciplined and that you accomplish and fulfill the requirements because you're here to learn, right? Because I also was a student and I went through that as well. Sometimes I would take a class and I'd say, well, that's 2 hours. Next class, I'm going to do it on the weekend. I'm not going to work on it during the week. And on the weekend, I had a meeting or a family gathering. And then maybe I'll do it on Sunday. And Sunday I was tired. I didn't have any energy. Maybe I'll do it Monday. And all the classes will mount up. And then I not only had to do 2 classes, I had to do 4 hours of classes. And things got complicated. And those 4 hours became 8 hours. Because it was 4 hours of class for the teacher, but it would take me longer. So then it becomes this huge mountain of information. Does that make sense? So what happens is that you start you start delaying yourself, staying behind. And already your classmates are presenting their characters with textures and so on. And you're still working on the sculpting part of the class. So let's try to avoid that situation so that we all stay up to speed. All right? Someone is asking if it's necessary to do the free ZBrush Introduction to ZBrush course. No. I don't recommend that you do that right now. Let's go step by step. When I go into ZBrush, I'll tell you step by step, and I'll tell you how to do everything. I click here and do here, because the courses that we give here in the Academy, as I have followed courses in international platforms, I once paid like $800 for a course, and they do it differently in those courses. Okay, so let me explain to you. In the courses that you follow and in other platforms or with other artists, they assume that you are already familiar with the interface and many other things. But this course was created with the goal in mind that you, from zero, beginning in zero, you start doing things right. That's why today I will give you a short introduction to the program Blender. I'm going to work in the blocking of a character, an idea that I have, so that you can start utilizing the tools and learn how things work, okay? I would send you the next class on Saturday, the 21st. I would send you the class in video so that you would watch it and you can advance in the project. So that the 25th, we can have the first feedback session and you can see how you're advancing in the course. This is the preamble before starting the course. And I do it for the students that maybe they don't have any foundation, any knowledge on Blender, and they're going through this period of 4 classes so that they can start learning the program and getting used to it and familiar with it. Maybe there are students who don't know how to use it and they're going to stay behind and they're going to leave the course, and we don't want that, okay? Once I've given you guys these explanations and guidelines on how things are going to work, you have some activities here, dynamic activities here, that you have to read here and follow along. I am going to only focus on what corresponds to my part. Another thing, my friends, is about the questions for the teacher. I want to be very clear with this part. I need you to do the following here. First of all, download a screen capture software. Any program that you like. If you want to buy one, please go right ahead. If you want to download one free, that might work just as well. Secondly, you need to open a YouTube channel, a YouTube account, because you might want to send me a video that is too large, too heavy, and this platform only supports up to 8 megabytes of data on each video, all right? So you have to create your YouTube channel, you upload your video there, and then you send the link here. You place the link here for your teacher's questions. Why do I ask you to send me the video? Because sometimes students send me a picture, take a screenshot of what the problem is, the question they have, and I can't understand anything that they're saying, all right? So, because it's a picture. So what do I need? I need a video where you're going to talk. You're going to tell me, hey, Ricardo, this part, I don't understand this. I did the same thing you did in the video, but it doesn't work for me. So then I see it and I'll be able to see what happens immediately, and I'll be able to help the students. I'll know immediately what I need to do to help the students. But if you send me a picture and you send an image and with a little arrow and then a long paragraph that really doesn't explain clearly what's happening, it becomes extremely difficult to understand what's happening or what you're not understanding. So I ask you, please, if my dear students, if you could please do it the right way. That way I can help you by creating your YouTube channel and uploading the video. It's awesome when a student does the things and helps me so that I can be a better teacher, so I can help you guys more. Let's take a look here. Just to show you, just want to show you that this makes things easier. It facilitates things. Here in the section named questions for the teachers, the student already had a problem here. All right. I'm going to show you what it means. Look at the video that he uploaded. All right. The student is telling me here and explaining here what the problem is, what the issue is, what the problem he had. Then he explains the whole process through video. so that I can see what he did, then I already have an answer for him because I can see what went wrong, what he did wrong. And I give him feedback and things work out better. Then what happens is I can explain with a picture or writing to him or her. And once I give them that instruction, then he or she will be able to fix it because he made it easier for me to understand the issue that he or she were facing. So that makes things better for everyone. So that's why I want you to do it here. This is what I need you to do for me to be able to help you. Once I see the video, then I already know what's happening, what the issue is. This is where the mistake was made, and this is what you need to do. So I encourage you guys to do it as well. Okay? So let's put the link in general so that there are no issues here. All right. So, my dear students, let's start with the introduction for the program. Okay, here we go. So we're always going to do it this way. From 8:30 to 9 p.m., we'll have a feedback session with each one of your projects. And we'll see as we advance together. This has been an introductory class. I've tried to explain how we're going to be moving forward, doing it properly, and so that you can have success in your project. I've given you a few examples of the courses that I've been given as well, so that you can understand things more clearly and with real life examples. All right. So for those of you who are new to the software, we are going to go to the official Blender page, blender.org. Let's see here. Let's go to the new version. Okay, now we're up to 2.93.3, which means long-term support. Okay. The Academy is also given a recommendation of a software for screen capture and record your video. My apologies. What happens is that I'm used to recording with Camtasia Studio. Maybe there are other more comfortable options to record these videos and share the information quickly. So, what are we going to do? We're going to this page, blender.org. We're going to download the Blender 2.93.3 LTS long-term support version. And you can download other versions that are not very stable yet. You can even download 3.0, version 3.0, but they're not very stable yet. They're beta versions. You might crash or lose information. So those versions, the LTS versions, long-term support versions, they're more stable, and it's very hard for them to crash or that your file become corrupted. So always try to use stable versions, long-term support versions, LTS. We recommend that you go to the page every once in a while and check for the latest stable version. The moment I open Blender, in this lower part here, it tells me the version that I am using, 2.93.3. So we're ready. We're going to the next program that you have to download. Is called PureRef. The website is pureref.com. A multitude of artists use this software in order to have easy access to their reference images. When I'm teaching my students, for example, let's learn about retopology. And we're going to work on this, and then we look for reference images. I upload all the images to this program, and I will show you how this works. And then you have these images at hand, and you can manipulate it in order to see them. It's a free program, and you can use it as much as you want. You can download it down here for Windows or Mac. You click in Get, then choose the operating system that you are working with. And you can put 0 in the amount unless you want to donate to these developers. because they're giving us this software for free. So why not? But you don't have to pay anything for it if you don't want to. Then you download it. And the next thing I recommend is using this website, which also has an app for your phones. I would like to suggest that you open an account on Pinterest, because Pinterest provides you with a multitude of images for reference, and it's free. So, for example, I was talking about retopology. And let's see here. Give me 1 second so I can show you an example here. Okay. Maybe down the road, I need these reference images. You can come here, you can save the images. If I like this image, you can just save it in a board, either private or public, and you can create a folder where you keep them, and then you come back to it and you use it as reference for your project, for any project you're working, and you will have access to it, for as long as you need it. You can find hundreds and thousands of images for reference here. This website is incredible. It's extremely useful for artists and many other fields. So I recommend you create an account and you create your own folders and boards so that you can use your references as you need them. Yeah, someone is asking if you can read what people are saying in the class in the Zoom chat as we are giving the session. Of course, you guys can talk to each other and ask questions and whatnot. You can share new tips and new things happening, and you can share them with your classmates. All right? Once you install the software, the first thing that I do, the only thing that I move, the only thing that I change, that I generate here. That's why I ask the students to watch the whole video. Sometimes the new students, they say, no, I don't want to have to watch that other part of the video. And then they start asking, hey, what happened? This setting is not working because you did not watch the first part and you didn't see the way I set up the program. So it's important that you follow through on that. We're going to go to edit. We're going to go to preferences, and we are going to go to key map. And this is the way I have configured it. You can configure it as you find fit, but this is the way I've configured it. It works well for me this way. You need to configure it in the way that it works well for you. So that's a totally personal choice that you make. In my situation, I set it up so that I can select with right click. Okay? All right, I select things with the right click. And with the space bar, I use it to search for functions and things. So right click to select, space bar to do search. Those two things. Those are the two things that I modify in the settings, and then I just close it and save my settings. In the section of add-ons, I activate two add-ons. One is the loop tools. Click here to activate. And then make sure that you click in there. And then the other one is Node Wrangler. Very useful. It's very useful. I'll tell you later how we use it. It's very useful with textures and images and with the coordinates and whatnot. We'll see when we get to that point. I activate them first because I'm going to be using them later down the road more than other add-ons. Later down the road, we might be using Rigify, which I have it activated already. But we might use that down the road. So I'm going to show you how you can move inside the 3D space. All right? How do I move in this 3D space? The most important thing is right here. In the videos we record, you will see this little section, and it tells you what key or button in the mouse I am clicking. If I click the left or right click on the mouse, it shows down here. You can see it also in this little image, this little animation. So it's very useful so you know what I'm doing, whatever key I'm pressing or numbers. How is this helpful? Well, it shows you what I clicked in that part. You can see and maybe slow down the video and look at what I clicked exactly. For example, here, if I click Alt B or anything else, you can see it. Control C or Shift D to duplicate. You're always going to see down here this little diagram, this little area, so that you know what I'm doing with the keyboard or the mouse, okay? So it's always going to be there so that you can see and follow along what I'm clicking on. So how do I move in 3D space in Blender? If I click in the middle mouse button, I can rotate. I can see the object from different angles. I can see it from the top, but if I middle click and drag, I can see the bottom and whatnot, or the sides, or maybe the front or the back. And you can do that with the middle mouse button. Another part that is really important is how to do zoom. So you can click on these buttons here, this little part, these little icons. If you click on it and hold it, you can drag and rotate. But why go up there when you can do it differently? So if I click the middle button, I could just do that. If I do control click, I can zoom in. Maybe I zoomed out too much. Maybe I'm too far away. If I click on Shift C, the scene comes up to the middle or center of the screen or the viewport. These things happened, and so that's how we fix it. That's how we get back that view again in the program. This is why this class is so important as an introduction. Because if you don't know how to do this, you're going to be struggling later down the road. How do I do this? How do I do that? And these are very basic things that you need to learn at the beginning of the class. All right, so this is our introduction. So those of you who are familiar with the program, please be patient. Yeah, thank you so much. If I haven't explained it, I totally get it, but make sure that you follow closely so that you understand this and you don't have to, down the road, ask the questions on how to navigate, because these are very simple, basic things that we need to know from the get-go. Things like being in edit mode and separate geometry using the letter V as in Victor. Okay? So these are very important things that we will learn along, but you have to make sure you take note of it. So zoom in this way and holding Shift, you can move this way. Only those two work. So how do I move this object that is in the viewport in the center here? Something else is the views front. If you click on the numeric pad 1, it shows you the front. If you click on 3, it's sideways on the right side. If you see it on the top left, you'll see where you are. Right view, orthographic, the front orthographic view 1. 3 gives you the side view. 7 gives you the top view. So you see the image or the object from the top. So for example, the character that we're going to be making, the hat, we're going to be working from the top view. So you're going to be using these shortcuts all the time. We will be working on that circular part of the hat. We're going to need to see it from the top. If I click on 7, I'll see it from the top. And I can work on that from that angle. Okay? Ready. So 1, 3, 7. Okay, I'm going to try this little example so that I can show you guys something. It's just so that you can understand better how things work. I'm going to scale it in the X axis. I'm going to move it here. I'm going to use this tool to move it around so that you can see it. Let's say that I'm working from the front, but now I want to look at the back of the object. So what do? With 1 is the front. With Control 1, I go to the back of the object. With 3, I see the right side. But if I click Control 3, I see the left side of the object. With 7, I see the top of the object. With Control 7, I see the bottom or from below. So you can do 1, 3, 7, and then Control 1, Control 3, Control 7 to see the alternate or opposite side of that view. Another important part that you have to understand is the axis of Blender. This seems like it's not important, but it is super important because maybe you're not going to be able to know when and what axis to rotate or scale or move. So you need to know this. Very, very, very important. In all honesty, this part is a headache for all the students. It's easy. The green one shows me the y-axis. The red shows me the x-axis. And the axis that is coming down vertically is the z-axis. Maybe you say, I will remember the colors Ricardo shared with me in regards to the axis. Don't worry about it. In this top part on the right side, you're going to see it all the time. It is going to tell you the colors and the axis that you need to know so that you know which axis to move and use it as a reference. So these are the different views. If I click on one from the front, okay, now we're here. And let's say that I'm working here and I need to scale this cube. I need to make it a rectangle. So if I'm going to scale it in X, then it scales on that direction and becomes a rectangle. If I do Control Z to undo, like other software and programs, when you do Control Z, it goes back to the previous state. Let's say I want to scale on the Y-axis. What I do is SY and scale in that axis. If I do SZ, I will scale on the Z-axis. With the letter G, I can move my object around wherever I want. If I move it here, if I do Control Z, it will bring it back to where I was before. Maybe I want to move it in one specific axis. G is to move. In X, G, and you press X, it will move in the X-axis. All right? You cannot move it in any other axis. Or if you press G on Y-axis, it will only move in that direction. Or press Z and move in the Z-axis only. It's important that you know this because we will be doing a lot of things that involve movement and scale and rotation in a specific axis. Something else, I like to move it through here using this. Sometimes when it's not activated, because we are using another option, we have to click here and move. And this tool will show. I remember one time I lost it. I couldn't find any of these options, and I would click anywhere and everywhere and couldn't find it. If I had deactivated this section here, by mistake, we press commands that we don't know about and they deactivate options. This shortcut right here, which is Control and tilde, which is the key right above the tab key. Sometimes we click on it and we just deactivate something. I had no idea where to find that, but if I clicked here again, I could see it again. Meaning the transform tool, I was able to see it again just by clicking on that shortcut. So what is the 3D cursor? Is this one that has the red and white colors. Wherever you place this one is where the object is going to be created and also positioned. For example, if I click Shift A and I open this menu where I can create any of these primitive objects, and let's say that I'm going to create a sphere, wherever the 3D cursor is positioned, that's where the primitive is going to be placed in 3D space. As you can see in these following examples. Right here, I'm going to move this one here, okay? So we have to be careful because if we want to work with symmetry, I'm going to show you something about symmetry. If we want to create something with symmetry, it has to be placed in the center of 3D space. The Z-axis is the one that dictates the center of the universe, the 3D space, meaning have right in the middle, right there, you see? And symmetry will work with the center of our object that you're using at the moment or you have selected at the moment. For example, the set origin to geometry, it has to be in the center of something. I'm going to show you how to use it in order to use symmetry. Blender also opens up by default with a camera and a light right over here. I'm going to show you more with the project that we're going to start. So for now, it's not important. We don't have to go over that now. What I do think is important is always to organize this part. This area here, it's here's where we have all the parts of our scene: objects, meshes, lights, cameras. It's called the outliner. And here is where we find all the information that I bring into this scene. But when we have a large amount of objects and information here, I always tell my students to please be organized from the beginning in whatever you're doing. Because if we are organized, we clean the outliner and we have everything super organized and not messy and disorganized. So let's take a look. I'm going to select these two objects. Since I have select with the right click, I'm going to click, hold shift and select other objects as well. I'm going to select these two for now. Click on M and create a new collection. I'm going to name it light and camera, and then click OK. And see how here I can find this file cabinet. It looks like a file cabinet. It's what's called collections in Blender. I could even change the color if I click it and select the color that I want to change it to. And then I close it and I collapse it. If I want to hide everything that's in there, I just click in there and it's not bothering me anymore. And it lets me work in a very organized environment. If I want to see them again, I click on there again and they show up, or I can hide them and show them. I'm going to select the cone, the cylinder, the sphere, and the torus. And click on M, new collection, name it what I want, objects, and then click OK. You can name it as you like. I collapse that and I also hide it here. This is common practice in order to be able to focus on the object or a specific part of the scene that you're working on. So let's say right now we don't have a lot of objects or meshes in this scene, so it doesn't make a lot of sense maybe at this point, but down the road when you have 100 objects, it's very, very easy to get confused and not know where you are, get lost in your scene. So this is very important to do in order to keep things organized and tidy up. So I'm keeping everything separate in different collections and different file cabinets, so to speak, to keep organized. So we continue here. We're ready to go. It is also important that you read some of the comments, that your classmates put on the chat. The community is really important. The Discord community is very important because, among classmates, you guys help each other a lot. Sometimes I might not be able to answer a question because I'm rushing through a scene and whatnot, but one of your classmates will have a quick answer for you and we help each other out. So let's go over the right part. Here we've gone over a couple of things here. These are some of the tools that we can use. We have one to select, to make selections. There is another one to rotate. I don't use this one that much. I usually use the shortcut R to rotate, G to move, which is that one, and also scale, which is S. You can use that tool as well. But I am used to scaling with the S and selecting the axis that I want to scale in, R for rotate, and also G to move. This button here, this tool here, this pencil tool, we'll use it further down the road when we start doing the retopology or drawing a retopology over the image. You activate it by clicking on D. You can use it to write and to draw also. So I'm going to write over here, Live Studio or Live Academy. How do I delete? Click on D and the right mouse button. I use this a lot when I'm telling my students to use symmetry. Here, for example, after I explain something to them, I delete it. I use this one while I'm teaching, and I also have this other software that is called Epic Pen, and I also use it to pointed things in my class. Okay? In this upper part, let me show you right here. I'm going to write it down. You're going to see what is called layouts. Okay? There are different types of configurations which are used here in the program, which facilitates getting to one specific area of the program in any given situation. Here I have the modeling tools. If I want to sculpt, I go here. If I want to work with UV maps, if I want to work with textures, shading, animation, rendering, compositing, you can get to these areas rather quick through here. But I mentioned to you in the beginning that the preferences that I changed was loop tools and also Node Wrangler. Okay, so take a look. It's rather important, but for me, I don't like using these layouts too much. This is really up to you. It's a personal decision. I can't force you to use these, but if you want to, you can go ahead and do it. You can come here and use it and start working in those layouts, and it's great. I don't like it personally, but you can use it. I would rather just click tab and go to edit mode and start editing here. Or if I want to work with UV maps, I come here and I open a specific window in which I can work. I'll explain how to do that later on. You know what? Let's just take a look. To open up your own custom layout, you go up here to the upper part where you see that little cross and you drag to the right or up or down. And a new window opens up. In that upper part, you can click and select the different types of spaces that you can work on. In this instance, I want to work with UVs. So I click here and I can edit them. I would rather use them like this. Maybe I want to work with a shader and I just create another window here and click down and select shader editor in order to start working on the shaders. So let's say I'm here modeling, and here I can see my UVs and here my textures. So I usually do it this way and it works great for me. I would rather not use this layout for UVs and go there, then I lose my layout the way I had it set up. Or if I wanted to go do modeling, I go here. I'd rather not use that. I'd rather see everything here and I can create my own layout. Once I'm done working on that layout, I can remove it here. I click right here and pull down and it deletes that window or that layout that I created. If I click here and I see that arrow there, it also removes that layout window that I had before. And then I'm left simply with what I had at the beginning originally. It's just a workflow that works for me. These are things and tips that maybe they seem like they don't work, but down the road, you will see when you're working with big projects, it will come in handy. Then you will be creating your own layout using your own set of windows that works for you. Some people open it from here and they say, I'm going to work here. I'm going to work on UVs here. I like this better. That's personal for you. You can use them as you please. Yes, someone is asking if this video is going to be recorded. I am recording it myself in HD, high resolution, because it will also be translated to English and you will be able to use this video as many times as you like. Another important part of the program is to be able to know how to use these configurations here. Even though at the beginning, the thing that I use the most, it's really more the modifiers that can be found here. Okay? I'm going to go over some of them, not all of them, because it will take a really, really long time. I want to start running with the project we have in mind so that you get started with the project, getting used to work around the software. I always like, before we start a course or a training, to make a small project, a simple project, so that the students that have no experience can start playing around with the program, the software, and with that, they start getting more familiar with how everything works in the Blender interface. I'm going to show you here how I enter an edit mode. To go into edit mode, it means that I'm going to modify this object with tab. By clicking on tab, I enter edit mode. But in edit mode, we have three types of selections: vertices, edges, and faces. So let's say here I want to work on vertices. Perhaps I want to move them. And I do that by clicking on G and moving my mouse around. Or maybe I want to move this vertex back just a little bit. I activate it here and I move it. I can start deforming this and moving it around, as you see here. With edges or faces, I can select it here and start moving it around. If I get in the front view, I can rotate it or scale it. As you can see here, I can scale it. I can rotate it. And that's all in edit mode. Yeah? How do these modifiers work? Good question. The ones I use the most are the following. And I'm going to share some of them that I use a lot, and I'll show you how to use them. I go into edit mode. By clicking on Ctrl R, edge loops are added. With Ctrl R, I add a loop. I click on left click, and I'm going to delete this part of my mesh or my object. How do I delete it? First of all, in order to be able to delete, I need to make this transparent. I click on the letter Z and choose wireframe. Or you can also do it in the top part over here. You can click here, wireframe, solid. What I would like to ask for you to do is to learn shortcuts, because that makes the process go faster. It takes longer for me to get up here and change to wireframe mode than to just click on Z and select it there, which is what I want to do. I'm going to delete this part here and then go into vertex select mode. I deselect with A, double click A. Also by clicking on B is another option to select. As you can see, this thing opens up. Select the following, click on X, select vertices, and it gets deleted. Then I activate my first modifier, which is called mirror modifier. And I activate clipping. Why do I activate clipping? We do that to keep this part here welded together or merged together so it doesn't move. If we don't, we might face problems where these things are not together. Clipping prevents you from separating the object in the middle. So for example, by using mirror here, let's see, we can actually, building something here, I click on faces and then E to extrude and pull in that direction. It helps me create everything symmetrically. So then I don't have to do this part first and then the other side as well. But instead, the program, the software helps me to minimize the effort and process. As a matter of fact, when we retopologize, we will only do that to one side of the face, because with the mirror modifier, we'll be able to do the other side of the face. So we're going to work only on one side, and it's going to be more precise than doing it manually. I mean, imagine having to do this or trying to do this manually. It would be a headache just to try to have everything perfectly symmetrical. So here you can see we extrude. I'm going to place a loop here in order to be able to make a hole. Click Ctrl R, select that face, the other face, and delete the faces. And now we're going to make a little exercise. I'm going to select these edges and this edge here. Then I click on Ctrl 7 to see the bottom, change to wire mode, and then extrude. I release it with escape and then move it up to here. So now I rotate with the middle, go back to solid mode, and I'm going to join them. Here we can find two vertices and they seem to be unwelded or separate. Now we're going to join them. Select both of them while holding Shift, click on the space bar. There you will be able to use it as a search. This helps you to find functions, so type merge. So it's going to merge with the last vertex that you selected. So now they become one. That's how it works. There is no way to separate them now. While holding Shift, I'm going to select these here, that one, and click on F, and it closes that hole. In just a little moment, we put together this little shape. And the last modifier that I use a lot before we get to the project, because I really want to get to it, I'm going to go a little faster on this one. Let's take a look here. The other one that I use a lot, it's the one called solidify. And when we apply the solidify modifier, it gives you thickness. And when I give it thickness, sometimes you can see that this happens. It doesn't seem straight. What you need to do is click on even thickness. Well, this time it didn't work, but usually I activate this option and it fixes it. But instead, what I would have to do here to fix it is, but before that, I would need to click on Control A to apply that modifier. If you click on Control A, the modifier you're working on will be applied. Control A is another shortcut. Then we go to wireframe mode and edit mode, select those vertices, click on S, Z, and keep at number 0, and it becomes straight. Sometimes you have to troubleshoot. Sometimes the software does it, sometimes it doesn't do it. So you need to have the right tools in order to troubleshoot and fix things when one way doesn't work out. So I think we've gone over the more essentials and the more basic tools and ways of doing things in Blender so far. And I want to get started now working on an actual project. This is going to be the first project that you're going to complete or make. And you are going to learn a lot of things here, new things and how to do them. And I'm going to do it as slowly as possible so that you can, with the video that I'm going to send you Saturday, you should be able to, by Wednesday of next week, you can present what you've done and the updates that you have created. So we were up to there, and we're going to start a new file project because we need to start from the beginning with the tools and everything else. And this is what we get by default in every new Blender file that we open. And what I'm going to do now is open the software PureRev. As you can see here, I am going to drag. I obviously have my images in a little folder here. And I am also going to upload these images as references on Discord in the area for references. So you select the images, I have them off screen, you drag them into here, and then we find them all in there. So why is this software important? Well, first of all, it will allow me to scale and zoom in, focus on a specific part of an image of the project that I'm working on. I can move it with middle mouse click. I can zoom in. Let's say that I want to move one of these here. Let's see. Let's take a look. Now, let me just fix this right here real quick. All righty. Let's say that we want to move this. I want to scale it up, make it larger. I can move it here. I want to see this part better and whatnot. Personally, I only use the zoom in, zoom out. Let's say that I, for example, want to rename it. That's why I always say that we have to be super organized. This is more for large projects, but it's good that you learn it too. It's always good to know these things. Organization is the key to success, and there's so many artists that are super organized. I also try to be organized. It's a little complex sometimes, a little difficult. Sorry, I think I was covering the letters of the keyboard in the bottom of the software there. So to give this image a name, I'm going to click on Control N. I'm going to type a name there. For example, monkey. Let's click on Control N here and type in headset. All right, over here. And here with Control R, let's type in hats or baseball caps, whichever name baseball caps have in your country. So this is a way for you to have things organized when it comes to your reference images. Here you can have tons of images here, guys. You can have 1,000 images and still have them organized. And I think that's funny. So you have to be organized. That's a really great piece of advice that I'll give you. I'm trying to put together this the best way I can. What do I need to do in order to keep this over my softwares? I'm going to right click, select mode, and select always on top. Always on top, so that it's always on top of any software that you're using, so you never lose sight of your images or your references. I can make this smaller, scale it down. I can move the images around, looking at the images and everything else. Something else, when I'm happy with the way it's been organized, with Control R, I can lock it. This layout here. So maybe I, by mistake, could delete an image by clicking without knowing. But when it's locked, you cannot do it. You cannot lose an image by mistake. So that's a great thing. To unlock it, you click on Control R and it becomes unlocked. And you should also save. Click on Save As or Save. Go here to your desktop. For example, I'm going to type Blender Introduction. I'm going to send you this over Discord so that you can open it there. And since you're going to have the program, you just double click it when you download it and it's going to open up in this layout. But if you rather do it on your own, by all means, please go ahead. There's no problem with that either. By right-clicking, I can move it around wherever I please. My advice is that you use it. Before I didn't use this, because before I used to do this, I would open up a panel here. I would click on UV Editor, select the image. I will open it here. And look how complex it was. I would have to do this. But as you can see, I can only put one image at a time. But with this software, I can put as many images as I want. And I can place them wherever I want them. And they don't bother me, and I can use them as reference. I'm going to remove this. Okay. So we're going to work on a little monkey. And this monkey is going to have a baseball cap and also some headphones. That's what we're going to be doing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to front view by clicking on 1 in the numeric pad. I'm going to give this cube subdivisions. It means that we're going to give this a mesh more geometry because I'm going to sculpt the character. I want you to learn how to sculpt. Why? Because the face of the character that we have in this course, this character's face, let's look it up here. It's right here. It's in references. This character here, we're going to sculpt it in order to get the closest we can to the reference image. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to model the body. I'm going to weld together, or fusion together our sculpt, and also the polygon modeling. We are going to use those two techniques here, and also this head, which we will sculpt, then we will retopologize it. We're going to retopologize this head over here. So I am going to use this technique because I'm not going to sculpt this whole thing over here because it is going to be covered. So when we're talking about production, you shouldn't waste time making or sculpting everything, but only sculpting the things that are going to be seen, because that's going to take so much more time. So personally, I don't do that. I try to simplify some of the processes, if it's possible. If it's not possible, then we'll sculpt the whole body or the whole character, and then we'll retopologize the whole thing. If the character is going to be without a shirt, then you have to do it. If the character has pants here, for example, so I have to retopologize everything, and then I have to sculpt the model with muscles and everything so that you can see it all. If it is going to be covered with a shirt or a sweater like we see here, it wouldn't be a good use of our time. I hope that makes sense. By clicking Control 3, the first thing we do is we add geometry to this cube, and that is the default cube. I'm going to activate the Move tool, and I'm going to lower it down. I always do this because I first apply the modifier here. I click here, and then Control A applies the modifier. So here I have this sphere with a little bit of geometry. So now I'm going to be able to give the character its form. Second of all, I'm going to bring here the image or reference image. I'm just simply going to drag the image. I'm not going to do anything else at this point. I'm going to drag it here into the Blender space, into the software here, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try well, let me just put it here. I'm going to move it right here. I can move it around by clicking GX. And sometimes I like to click on these arrows here, these color arrows on the different axes. And here where we find this on the lower part, I can activate an option that makes this image a little bit transparent. Maybe too transparent or just a little bit. I just want to be able to see what I'm going to do. And by clicking on Shift middle click on the mouse, I can move around, and that's Shift middle click on the mouse. I can move around this way. And this is different than what I showed you before. When we click Control Zoom, here with Shift and middle click on the mouse, I can move around and I can set up this viewport the way I want to. I'm going to try to center this as much as possible in the face of this character right here, since I'm going to be working with symmetry. So everything that we'll be doing will be helped with the symmetry modifier. So this is going to be the front view image. I'm going to click on a number 7, top view, and I'm going to move it back just a little bit because I don't want it to be dead center, because it might be a little bit annoying and distracting. So I'm going to duplicate this image with Shift D, and I'm going to rotate it in the Z-axis 90 degrees. And I'll do this so that if I'm in the front view, I'll see this. And if I'm in the side view, I'll see this. I'm going to rotate this one 180 degrees on the Z-axis. And I'm going to try to center this as much as I can. As much as I can. So I have the front view and the side view, 1 and 3, 1 and 3. So now we select these two reference images, click on M to make a new collection, name it References, and then click OK. So what I'm going to do now, now we're going to block it, to block this character's head. I'm going to click on this pick, on this little check icon, and I'm going to deactivate it here. And then collapse this so that it doesn't show this. So what that means is I cannot select it. This little pointer, what it does is allows you to be able to select it or not. And as you can see, I cannot select it now. So now I'm going to save my project, File, Save As. I'm going to create a folder here. And I'm going to name it 1.monkey001. So that's what I'm going to do there. Yep, here we go. So now it is saved. So when I close the program and I open it again, I'm going to find the same information that I have right now. I'm going to make sure that these reference images are placed correctly. By clicking on Ctrl A, I can bring a primitive plane here. I'm going to scale it really big, then place it at the top of the head of the monkey. I'm going to duplicate it with Shift D, and this one will place it on top of the lip, the mouth. Then duplicate another one and drag it to the bottom. By clicking Shift D, you duplicate things. So you see how this is in the way right here. I'll select both of them, click M, create a new collection, light in the camera, press OK, and hide it, and maybe collapse it. Then Control S to save. So what I'm going to do, take a look, I'm going to select this 3, and I'm going to make sure, okay, that this little reference mark that I put here on top of the lips, on the bottom of the mouth, and on top of the head, that they're all placed properly in the same location. This is on the lips right here. The side view, as you can see, this doesn't correlate. It's not the same. I still need to adjust a little bit in order to make it perfect. So I'm going to scale this just a little bit here. Maybe the artist that created this sculpt took a screenshot, but it wasn't like precisely the exact height and width. So I'm going to select it and scale it just a little bit here. Not too much. I'm going to leave it active in order to be able to modify it. So here, yes, I'm going to unite all of these. So I'm going to select this plane, and the other one here. And by clicking Control J, they fusion together. They become one. So that I don't have to select things and move them by accident, maybe. I'm going to go into wireframe mode. And as you can see here, take a look. Now it looks a little better. Maybe I can scale just a little bit more here. It's just a little bit, even on the top of the head, you can see it. It's getting a little bit, it's moving, but I'm going to leave it like this for now. And then I come and deactivate it here so that I can select it. I can still see it, but I cannot touch it or select it. And this, which was a reference before, I don't need it anymore. I'm just going to delete it. So click on Control S and then start blocking. So when you start a project, we start with blocking with very simple figures and shapes. And we try to give this character the shape that we want here, using what we have here or different shapes. And what we do now is with Shift D, we duplicate it. We bring it to the top part here. I'm going to try to scale it as close as possible to the height of this monkey's face, or chimpanzee, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to scale in what axis? The X axis. Click on S, X to flatten it, to make it a little thinner. Go into side view by clicking on 3. And I'm going to scale in the Y axis over here so that we can have this little part of the face right over here. So now here we have what it's supposed to be, the head so far. Select this copy. Do you see why I make this copy here? Imagine if we had to every time create a cube primitive, apply the modifiers, Control 3, then Control A to apply the modifier. You waste a lot of time. I have this one ready here set up to duplicate it. All I have to do is Control Shift D. I place it where it needs to be, side view, where it should go more or less. So I'm starting to place these shapes here in order to get them ready to be modified later and also moved to the precise location. This one will go here around the mouth. Now we go to front view and we scale this a little bit on the X axis. You can see here. And I'm always saving the project. And this is something I do, subconsciously. I don't even think about it. I save all the time. My brain starts saving automatically by clicking on Control S. And these references, I have them also on one side. I have a 2-monitor setup here. But if you don't have 2 monitors, you can just put it here on top of Blender so you can see the reference and use it. You can see the different traits here, and they will start sculpting and make it look good. I always put it over here so that you can appreciate the whole scene, and I have the reference images right here. Let's continue. Here I have some ears. Obviously, I'm not going to use the same circle that I have here. I'm going to bring the 3D cursor here that you see it here when I click right here with the white and red colors. So if I click on Shift S and I select Cursor to World Origin, it goes to the center. Then click on Control A and I'm going to bring a cylinder here. I'm going to rotate it in the X axis for 90 degrees. I'm going to top view and I'm going to scale it in the Y axis to make it flat. I'm going to make the ear here. Then click on wireframe and move it over here. I'm going to scale it in the X axis because the ear, it's not totally flat. It's a little more oval-like. This is just to have an idea, okay? I'm going to go into side view, take a look here. I'm going to rotate it on the Z axis to the side. I'm going to place it right here where I think it should go, and we'll modify it and move it. So we're going to continue to move in order to get this blocking ready, in order to have an idea to what we want to accomplish at the end. So how does the mirror modifier work? I want this over here to be duplicated on the other side here. How do I do that? It means that the pivot point of this object, this little yellow dot here, take a look, it always has to be in the center of the geometry so that you can duplicate it on the other side. We'll duplicate it right here. So how am I going to accomplish this? We'll do it in the following manner. We're going to make this little dot here, this little pivot point, to come down here. How do I do that? Click on Control A, clear location by selecting this right here. And then it goes here. Once I've done this, I can go to the Modifiers tab by clicking on this wrench here, this little icon here. And I'm going to select mirror, and look how it stayed right there. Why does this happen? By clicking the letter N, this panel comes up and I could see a few things here. Since we rotated the object about 90 degrees before, then 180 degrees and all that, we made a transformation of this object. We have to clear this transformations. How do I do it? We click on Control A and clear location or rotation. It is also important when we go to the sculpt mode that all the scales are applied. These are values that come by default. It's like if these objects were inside the software in the 3D space already, it should always be with scale 1000 and rotation at 0. You can see that these are not cleared in the scale, and I'm clearing that with Control S. We are going to continue now. What I'm going to do now, obviously I'm going to move this. So I'm going to go to sculpt mode. I just want to do the blocking right now. You can select this. Let's take a look. Let's create a cylinder here because it doesn't make sense to put a sphere here. It's not going to look good. Since the 3D cursor is in center, Control A. Let's create a cylinder. We scale it down. And then go to the side view and try to place it where the neck of the chimpanzee or monkey is in the reference image. I think this is too big, so I'm going to scale in the X-axis so that it looks more like the neck to the one that we see in the original image. And here in the tip is a little bit too thick right here. I'm going to select this whole border here, and I'm going to scale it with S so that it takes this shape or form. Okay, so how I'm going to move this here, because it's here, but below, it's like it's not ready. So now we're going to start sculpting. By clicking on Control Tab, you enter into this menu and you select Sculpt Mode. Or you can do it by going up here, this upper part, clicking here and selecting a Sculpt Mode. So this is why I tell you that you should learn all the shortcuts, because you have to go up here, Control Tab, and select everything. It's super fast instead of going up there. If anybody likes to go up there to the top left, that's fine. You can totally do it. I'm not saying that it's wrong to do it that way. I'm just saying that it's faster the other way. So now we're in sculpt mode and I'm going to activate symmetry on the X-axis. I'm going to go to side view. With F, I make the brush smaller or bigger. And by clicking G, I activate this grab brush. And this is a little bit like ZBrush in order to move things around or grab and move. So I make it a little bigger and I move it. And I shape it the way I want to in order to make it look good. I just want to make sure that this looks good here in this little part, in this area here. When we have more resolution, we'll make more details in this area, but not for now. Right now, we're just trying to get the blocking, the basic blocking, ready for this character. As a matter of fact, if you look to this side here, for example, I want to push this little part here. I click on D, and it selects the other object while in sculpt mode, which is something new in Blender. So you click on the letter D. So I want to work on this part, so click on the letter D here. So with F, I make the brush a little smaller and I'm moving it. Look what's happening here. I didn't activate symmetry. Please don't forget. So this helps us make modifications of both sides by just affecting one. So now it's taking shape, this wonderful character that we're going to be working on. So now we're going to work on the body, the upper body, and with Shift D, we duplicate it and bring it up. I'm going to scale it up a little bit. So I'm going to go into wireframe mode so I can see more clearly, and then also try to make these shoulders here. Going to scale it a little bit more. Control A, clear location. Activate mirror, and then I already have this now. I come over here with Shift D, and as you can see, I can scale it in the Y-axis to make it a little more flat here. I am going to scale it here. I'm going to scale it in the x-axis. That's why I told you guys at the beginning that it's important that you know these things. So now click Z, select wireframe mode, and I'm going to scale a little bit on the Z-axis here to move it here, and look how it looks. We have made a blocking so far. Save it, Control S. I'm going to select another one, Shift D to duplicate it, and bring it up here to this muscle. I totally forgot the name of this muscle here. It's the one that comes up here on top. I'm going to scale it a little bit on X-axis and also rotate it. And I'm going to place it here so that it takes this shape. Over here in the back, I come into sculpt mode and start moving it with G. We want to make this look a little better. Push it in a little more, move it. So basically we're just doing basic shapes. That's what really matters to me right now, just the basic shapes. Clear the scale with Control A. Pardon me, clear location. Click on the mirror modifier. If it doesn't mirror it, it's because the location is not properly set. And here we're starting to get the basic shapes of this character. We move this here. Now I need to move this a little bit to modify it also. We have to flatten this a little bit here and then move it towards the inside. And you're going to see what happened. I forgot to do something, so this is great because it's going to be a lesson on what to do in order to fix this issue. Let's take a look. I was moving and modifying it, but I forgot to activate symmetry up here. Okay? Someone who doesn't know how to fix this would have to start again and do the whole thing over, that whole part over. But there is an option in Blender, I'll show you now, that allows me to fix this really quick. This is somehow like a math class in school. I'm going to make it easy for you so that you can remember it easily. We're talking about the -X axis. This is just so you know how it works. I come into sculpt mode here. Then I come here to this part where you have the wrench and the screwdriver. Sometimes I forget the names of the tools. And then I go down here to the part where it says symmetry. And in symmetry here is where we find the key for this. It says that it's going to take the x-axis and convert it to plus x. And that's not what I want. I want this x that is working okay, this one here to be copied on this side. I want this to be copied here. So what do I need to do? I need to change it by clicking here. I want positive x to substitute what I did wrong here. So I click on symmetrize and there it goes. It's ready. By doing that, I fix that part. Click on F. I'm going to activate symmetry now because I'm learned from my mistake. And I'll move this around a little bit. I want to tell you, my dear students, that the sculptures that I make them with using a mouse. I enjoy working with the mouse. Let's be careful here. HPs is independent. So if you didn't activate symmetry, it's not going to do it. It's not going to work, so you have to be careful with it. And here we're going to put together the chest because this character has pectorals here, so we have to do that. I'm going to set it up more or less in this area here. You can create another type of monkey or chimpanzee here. And that is your personal option, your decision, so please go right ahead. We are going to merge these two parts here, and it's going to become just one mesh. And so this is why right now I'm modifying this, because later on this will be merged together. And it's going to be like clay. We'll be able to move, sculpt, and give it details. But first we have to set up this base blocking. So I'm going to go here now. Look where this little yellow dot is placed. If I put symmetry, it's going to stay right there because symmetry is going to work where the pivot point is. So let's click on Control A, clear rotation, then Control A and clear location. and Control S to save. We can see how we have this here now. I'm going to make this a little better. I'm going to make it a little more rounded. Like this. Now let's fix the ear a little bit. And now that's good. And then we'll go here. When I start working in sculpt mode, I like to go up here and activate the matte cap. You use this a lot in ZBrush as well. Those of you who come from a ZBrush background are going to understand this. And I always like to activate this color because it looks and it feels like clay, which is the material to sculpt. And I also like to activate the shadows. And it makes it easier to see the surroundings and the shadows in what I have here. All right, so now we have the first part ready. So now what I'm looking at over here is that this here has some sort of, I'm going to try to make the nose as similar as possible. And we're going to take this shape here and duplicate it with Shift D, move it up, scale it up, wireframe mode. I think it goes right about here. I'll scale it on the Z axis. This is just to have an idea where it's supposed to go. Over here. So here's the nose, and I have to start modifying things, moving them a little bit over here. If I'm happy up to that point with what I have done, I come here to File, Save As. And this is another tip that I want to share with you. And it's not such a huge deal, but it's helpful because when I click plus, it starts creating a copy. You see how they increment. If I click on minus, it does the opposite. And you can do this super fast. So if you want to make another copy, File, Save As, then you click on the plus sign, press Enter. So doing that saves me time because I don't have to come over here and rename it manually. That is time that it will be wasted instead of working on the project. If you can avoid to do simple tasks like that, you save time in the long run. These are simple tips that will work, that will help you in your workflow. So let's move this back a little bit over here. And this a little bit towards the outside because we have to do a remesh here. But I want this to have the basic form shape. I'm going to focus on the front part now so that it can help me to see how this is going to look and how it's looking so far. By clicking on G, I'm going to make this a little bit more towards the outside, the jaws, and I'm going to try to match this to the reference image that I have over here. So this is the idea. I already have the form, the shape. Sounds good? So if anybody has a question, activate your microphone. Do you like what you're seeing? Are you understanding what we're doing? Yes, someone asked, and yes, you can use the reference images that you need. So as I said before, these reference images are personal decision. You can find them yourself and go as you please. I'm going to share with you guys very soon these files so that you can use it as well. I'll share it with you via Discord. Especially the pure ref file so that you can open it up and have everything set up there. Someone is asking a question here. Let's see. The question is, I have a problem. Since I don't have the numeric pad on the keyboard, I'm emulating it so that I can use the numbers on top of the keyboard. But when I try to add a modifier, the subdivision modifier with Control 2, I can't do it. It doesn't allow me to do it. And the teacher responds, so you have a laptop? No. She says it's a desktop, but I don't have a numeric pad keys in my keyboard. You can try something here, going to Preferences. There's an option now. Let me see if I can remember. There's an option to emulate or simulate the numeric pad keyboard. Let me find out for you today, and I'll pass it along so that you can fix that. So I think if you go here and select this, the numbers might be starting to work on the top, but we'll find out for you for sure. The student says that, yeah, that works. I selected it, but I want to click on Control 2 or Control 3 to add subdivision modifier, but it doesn't work. So I am not sure if it's because I'm selecting that option to emulate the numeric pad. Yeah, go right ahead and deactivate it and see what happens. And I'm going to indicate and direct you in the right direction soon, okay? And she says, thank you. If any one of you is sleepy, still have 20 minutes left, so bear with me, hang in there. So we'll focus on trying to get this idea ready. And we're trying to set up this character to look like this. So let's now work on the headphones, on the headset. We're going to make this with easy and simple primitives. Control A. Let's open up a cylinder. I'm going to place it here. I'm going to tell it to have only 18 vertices. I'm going to scale it in Z so that this becomes flat. You can feel free to make the headset type of headset that you like. I'm going to make a simple one for now. I'm going to place it where it's supposed to be. I still don't have everything ready, but when I do have it, I'm going to place it in the final location on this character. I might even put it down here in the neck, but we'll decide that as we go. So now I'm going to work on this part here, and I'll work with Shift D here and make this part over here. We start into edit mode. How do I get to edit mode? I click Control Tab, select this little part here, and select the phase mode. I'm going to place it right over here. Let's take a look here so that we can go right ahead and get started with it and make it a little bit more simple. All right. All right, somebody has a question. So the student is asking, so should we do this part from the same mesh, and those two parts, the inner part and the outer part? And the instructor, Ricardo, he says no, because it's not such a heavy mesh, so it wouldn't affect performance or anything like that. And we will be creating the separate pieces for each of these parts. So let's say that if you do this, the UV process, because it's all together, it's going to be quite difficult. So it's good to have everything separate for the UV and texturing process. I can texture it and shade it, everything separately. But if I have everything in one mesh all together, it's going to be difficult. All right, so now I'm going to continue to put this together over here. So yeah, somebody's saying that Control 2 or Control 3, it adds automatically the subdivision modifier so that you don't have to do it manually. So it's basically the same thing here. It's just a shortcut, and it makes it easier. You can click on Control 1, 2, 3, or 4, and it adds that level of detail automatically. You don't have to do it, go a little step in there and take some time. So I'm going to duplicate this little part here so that it looks a little more rounded. Shift D. With Shift D, you duplicate any part. Let's put it right over here. I think this is going to hold it together here. As I said before, we're making something very simple. I've seen students that make incredible models, but that is your prerogative and your decision. Right now, as of now, we're just focusing on making this very simple project. So now we're going to the side view, and we're going to be selecting this whole area here. Let's take a look. Or maybe I won't. I'll just select a few of the faces here. And with Shift and right click, you can select them. Then I look at the side view, click 3 on the numeric pad, click on Shift D to duplicate that selection, and you can see that the geometry was duplicated. And by clicking on the letter P, I'm going to separate it so it becomes a different, a separate mesh on its own. It's no longer united to that mesh. It's an independent object. Someone in the audience has to step out, and the instructor is telling them that they can follow along later on by watching the recording. So here I'm going to extrude with the letter E and click Alt-S to scale the normals here to create like a little edge on this side here, something like that. And I'm going to take these three faces up here and I'm going to extrude them with the letter E. I extrude them and I want this to look flat here. So I'm going to scale S, Z, 0. And I want this to move up a little bit inside. So I'm going to move it towards this direction. And I'm going to create a loop over here, an edge loop. Click Control R. And I'm going to move it a little bit towards the inside. We add a subdivision modifier with Control 2 and create an edge loop here to create some support. This is just a blocking of the idea of what I'm trying to do here. Nothing more. I select these parts here, right here, and it's getting a little messy over here. So I'm going to start cleaning up a little bit, making a collection, naming this collection headset. If I click Control I, it selects everything else. It's like an inverse selection. This time it didn't work out so well because this thing is right here. But I'm going to hide this just for a second. This one stayed outside, so I'm going to click M headset and add it there. Select everything here. M, a new collection, and call it character. So now I have everything pretty much organized. I'm going to activate the headset again and continue to work on it. I can merge it here. I can obviously merge it here. I need to merge it in order to use the mirror modifier. So let's click on Control J and it merges everything in the same way that you separate it with Control L and the letter P. I can also merge it. So I select these two pieces and with Control J, I merge them. So now I go here, select the mirror modifier, Control A to clear rotation, Control A to clear location. And here I have my headset in this part right here. I'm going to make it a little smaller here. I can scale it on the x-axis to make it a little more flat. I'm going to move it a little bit inside, towards the inside. I'm going to rotate it later, or maybe the ears will be right here. Well, I'm still not doing it because I don't know if the headset is going to go over the ears or maybe over the shoulders, a little bit under the ears. I think I'm just going to put it over the shoulders so it looks like he's, he has them on top of his shoulders. But again, that's my personal decision, my personal taste. Let's move this a little bit towards the back. We're almost done, 15 more minutes and we should be ready to go. I want this first lesson to at least have the blocking finished and so that you have some homework to do. So now let's select everything here with the front view. And I'm going to continue to extrude over here. Just a little bit here. I'm going to turn here. And here I'm going to extrude a little bit. But I'm also going to extrude this on the side here. Just a little bit. And here just a little bit more. In order to make the diadem in this area here. Let's continue to work on that. I'm going to extrude and then try to unite it here in the center. Look what happens. Because I need to activate clipping. It's like they join together. I'm going to scale in Z to inflate this a little bit. And more or less see the shape. I'm going to add an edge loop here with Control R. And start shaping this in a round way here. I'm going to scale it in the Y-axis. If you can do this in a different way, please go right ahead by all means. I just tried to do this way so you guys can have an idea of what we're building. But by all means, build it as you can and with your own concept ideas. There are many ways to do these things. Some of you might use curves and other techniques, which is great too. And I'm going to leave all of that to your discretion because as long as you're able to create it, anyway, it's okay. So now I have this headset here, pretty much. Right here, I'm going to put like something that resembles a plug, something like that, right? I'm going to scale it a little bit here and then move it here. Please just make sure that you close your microphones. Thanks. Because these classes are being recorded and we're going to broadcast them again. And finally, we will be working now on the baseball cap. As I said before, this is just a blocking. When we're done with this, it's going to look great. It's going to look amazing with a lot of details. I don't think this nose looks right. So I'm going to modify it a little bit to make it look better. Make it a little wider. We'll continue to modify it as we go. Now let's start working with the baseball cap. I'm going to use a cylinder with 6 vertices, with 6 faces here. You can see how I did it without even thinking about it. Shift S, then select cursor to world origin. And I also want to place this in the center, so we can use the symmetry modifier. Shift S and click selection to cursor. That way it will be dead center. I'm going to put this in the upper part and scale it a little bit where the hat will be going more or less. This is the idea. We will extrude in the edit mode by clicking Control Tab to get there. Extrude. I will scale it a little bit here. Extrude again. Scale here a little bit. And I'm going to lower this over here a little bit. Now I'm going to see the reference, the image reference we have for the baseball cap. How do I select this whole border? Well, by clicking Alt, right click. Alt and right click selects all the edges. I can scale it with S. I will make it a little bigger. We'll scale it on Z, maybe a little bigger. I'll continue to scale it in Z. More or less, this is the way it's going to look over here. You see how there is a little bit of black color here. That means that there's an issue with the normals. What it means is that the normals are facing inward. How do I check if the normals are facing the right way? You can go here, click on face orientation. If there's any red color here, that means the normals have to be flipped. Click Shift N and that fixes it. I go back to the drop-down menu and deselect face orientation. I'm going to bring a plane now. I'm going to scale it. And like I said before, today we're going to build that whole circumference of the baseball cap. I'm going to put it right on the edge. The plane is down here. I'm going to bring it up a little bit. And I'm going to start extruding. And using these 2 edges here, I'm going to start extruding. I'm going to make it manually here. You can get images. And I know it takes a while to get images, but you can do that. Images I can show you how to properly make this. But it is nothing complex. But I don't see a problem doing it just out of the top of your head. Kind of winging it. Let's select these 2 vertices here. We're going to hide everything. Sometimes when we have a lot of things in the scene, I just want to focus on this little area here. Click Control I, then the letter H to hide everything. With Alt H, you bring everything back. Then we go to the top view by clicking on 7 in the numeric pad. I'm going to place an edge loop here because I need it by clicking Control R. I also need another loop here. Control R. And here I select 4 vertices and I click on the letter F. You can also select 2 vertices and click F. What else is missing here? We can use a mirror modifier here, clear the location, and we're ready. What I can do here, in geometry, a normal is a vector or a line that's perpendicular to a surface or an object. So now I want to add some thickness, and that's why I use the solidify modifier so much. I'm going to add some thickness here and a little bit here too. Click on solidify, and here where it says thickness, it makes it thicker. I'm going to lift this up a little bit here from down here because the pivot is down here because it has a symmetry modifier on it. But then we'll continue to modify things as we go, as the project goes along. Here I want to modify this a little bit more by doing this right here, working on the shape of the nose a little bit. It looks like a shape of a pear. All right, we're ready, my people. All right, so what do you guys think about this short introduction that we've done so far? This project is going to look awesome, but we're not going to use textures with it. We are simply going to make it look pretty so we can show it off. We'll make sure the baseball cap looks great, a lot of detail. And that's what we're going to do in this very short introduction that we've conducted today in regards to what the gorilla or chimpanzee that we're modeling. Someone is saying that this is very complex for someone who has no experience in Blender like me. Ricardo says, yeah, no, don't worry about it. You can do it. Just put all your effort and your heart into it. Make sure that you review the videos over and over and take your time. You still have 3 days to look at the videos and catch up and just practice things. Yep, just do the same thing and put all your effort into it. Someone is asking if they can make a different version of it. Ricardo answers saying that, yeah, you can make it any version. You can make any modifications and give it your own spin. This whole introduction was set up so that those of you who are just beginning can get started with, playing around with the interface. And if you have experience and you can add more things, by all means, go right ahead. You can add some bling to it. That's really all up to you guys, personal preferences. A student is saying, yeah, it looks really great. The blocking activity, just that the sculpting part looks a little bit intimidating. And the teacher answers, sculpting is going to be the most relaxing part of the whole process. It is the nicest and coolest thing. You're going to see how it all works. If you have patience, you're going to see how we'll go gradually into it, step by step, and you will enjoy it. Guys, the blocking process, even really famous artists and professionals use it worldwide. People that work in famous and large animation studios, because it is the easiest way to get the shapes, the basic shapes of an object or a character. When we put it all together, it's going to look amazing. We'll add wrinkles, muscles, and everything else. It's going to look great. We already have the most important part. We'll have to modify things down the road. Like I said before, we might put the headset underneath on a different position or angle. Putting it here will affect the ears a little bit. Maybe we can make the headsets, the headphones a little bigger. But that all depends on the sculpting part. I think Jose is saying that he will be able to do it. And someone else is asking what the homework is going to be. The homework is this. The homework is for you to send me the blocking that you've created. The other video is going to be delivered on Saturday, and I will start giving more details to the mesh and the character. Someone is saying the beginning of it is start with basic shapes. We always start from the easiest to the more complex. Yeah, those are things that sometimes people don't teach us when we're learning, when we're starting to learn. I've also stumbled quite a bit in my journey. Here we can move this little part here to shape the cheeks and the mouth a little better. These are things that can be improved and made better. So I'll quickly get this mirror here and clear location and clear the rotation as well. You will realize as you go in every project how you can get better and how you can improve your technique and your skill set. It's great to practice, but it's also important to have someone that guides you through the course. Do we have to submit this by Saturday? No. This class and the video that I will deliver on Saturday, it's what you need to be working on for Wednesday. And next Wednesday, you have to turn in class number 1, which is this one, and also the second class. And with this, I like to say thank you. And again, the monkey or chimpanzee that you're going to be working on is for next Wednesday. I'll do feedbacks on every Wednesday. You can upload your progress to the Discord. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you on next Wednesday. Thanks for being here with us, with me and Live Academy.